clowns, and welcome to an episode of This Just In. Today we're going to be talking about Cult of Chucky.
I just can't with this guy. I don't know whether to kill him or just take notes.
So, Cult of Chucky came out in 2017, and it was also written and directed by Don Mancini again. This one is in a completely different setting, but it does follow the continuity of the last film quite a bit. The curse kind of seemed like it flew off the wagon, but then at the end they kind of threw in some last minute things to kind of tie it together, where the family he was with was somebody new in his past, and Tiffany had sent him there because that's what his plan was. In Cult of Chucky, we're going to be in a mental asylum the whole time. So, for the most part, anyways, again, we're going to have one location. And for the most part, I feel like Don Mancini does a good job with this one location. Doesn't overstay its welcome. Good hour and a half movie, like most of his are. He doesn't make them too long. So starting with the ends. The first thing for this end is the opening of the movie. To be honest, if the whole movie was shot like the opening was, I probably would prefer this over almost every other Chucky movie made. We start off with Andy Barclay. He's on a date. The girl Googles him and knows who he is. Therefore, she doesn't want nothing to do with him, because that's just way too much baggage. He goes home, grabs a drink. Not what he wanted. And he opens up a safe behind a Kent University sweater. And he has the Chucky head that he shot in the post-credit screen from the last one. Still alive, but just the head. And, he's smoking a little bit of weed, and Chucky would like some of that. So then he lets Chucky's puff on it, and Chucky fakes a bite at his hand. Then he goes, "Oh, you want to play?" Okay. He ends up taking a blowtorch to his head. You hear him screaming, and that's the opening of the movie.
Sometimes it's nice just hanging out on a Friday night with your best friend.
It's like, man, we're in for a wild ride. That's going to be a fun one. Then we go to the mental hospital facility, which that setting is also an in for me in this movie. I like the setting. Everything looks like white, clean, which I think is always neat for horror movies. I like snow too, but that's just because the way blood looks on snow. But the same thing works in this where you have something that's so white and silver, white and clean. It's just those colors that just mean like sterile and clean. And once you start spreading blood everywhere, it always looks nice. And my last in for this movie, unfortunately, is Chucky. I like Chucky in this one. I think he looks better than he did in Curse of Chucky. I also believe he has a lot more to say in this one. He's got some comical lines, and it reminds me more of the menacing evil lines, kind of like Child's Play 3-ish and kind of Bride of Chucky. It's almost like a mesh in between those ones, where you got some good like angry lines, you got some also funny lines. So going on to the mixed for me in this one. First thing is the patients. So all the patients that are in this movie, in the mental hospital as well, we get a wide variety of different people in this movie. People who've done some despicable things, and some people just have multiple personalities. Some people set things on fire for fun. Somebody killed their kids. But they all know Nika killed her whole family. And I mean, some of them play their parts well and some don't. That's why I give them mixed, because some people I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. And the other people I'm just like, meh. They're there just to die. Which is okay. It's a horror movie. That's the point. Another thing I would say for this one is the kills. So I do think there's some really good kills in here, and I do think there's some really lame kills in here. My favorite kill is probably the one where there's this Asian lady who was, I think she was the one like to set things on fire. And Chucky bites her in the arm, so she knows Chucky's real. when she was the one not believing Nika at first. And then when she's saying this stuff, the doctor doesn't believe her, so he ties her up in a room. They give her a sedative so she can't feel anything, but she's still awake. And then he sets the Chucky doll in there with her for some reason. She's going to learn that this doll is not real. And then the doll gets up, grabs, I think it's a nitrogen tank, and drops it on the floor at a perfect angle so it blasts off and shoots up through the ceiling, which is glass, because Don Mancini loves his glass ceilings. And all those shards fall just like right up Chucky. And you see it slice her head off, and a bunch of glass just stabs into all sorts of body parts, and blood's flowing. It does have a really cool like slow motion scene as everything's falling and Chucky's looking up like. Another kill in this movie is the doctor itself. And that one, Nika's. Well, Nika gets a good kill in there. I'll go into more detail when I'm going into my outs. Another thing is Andy. In the beginning, I like Andy in this movie. Later on, we see him kind of trying to show that doctor that Chucky's real and he needs to worry. He gets scoffed at. Then he goes to visit the hospital. They say they're not seeing people right now, so then he gets himself committed to the hospital. But he sent a doll there, and then the doll is there, and he's hoping that the doll then comes to visit him later, and he ends up pulling a gun out of that doll to kill that doll, and he ends up getting locked in there anyways. So he has a little bit of fun torturing a Chucky doll in the beginning, and he does kill a Chucky doll at the end, but then he's just locked in a mental asylum. So, not really sure how to feel about that. Got excited when he was in the post-credits scene of the last movie, thinking that he'd have a little more to do in this one, and I feel like he's kind of an afterthought. Now the big one. Multiple dolls. I'm mixed on this one only because of one reason. I had said in my Bride of Chucky review that the Voodoo for Dummies book was a cheap cop-out. And the humor didn't hit for me, and I thought it was stupid. Well, in this one, VoodooForDummies.com gives him the ability to now not transfer his soul into a new body, but now he can transfer his soul into as many vessels as he wants. As long as they got legs and arms stabbed with a knife, Chucky can be it. So now in this one, we get multiple dolls. Now the scenes with the multiple dolls were pretty good and they're pretty funny, not gonna lie. I do like the scenes with the dolls. It's just the cheapness in getting to this point. Which I get it. He wanted to do it in part 3, but they wouldn't give him the budget. So he had to now figure out a workaround. VoodooForDummies.com.
A few years ago, I came across this groovy new spell on VoodooForDummies.com that changed everything. Now,
Yeah. And then the last thing I'm mixed on for this movie is the ending. In this movie, at the end, like I said, Andy locked up for life at the end of it, as it seems. We see Nika and Tiffany leave in a car with the Tiffany doll in the back, and they're all laughing together. At this point, Chucky's now put his body into Nika as well, so now he's human, but he's also dolls, and he's just able to put his soul into everything. But who's inside the Tiffany doll? Because they said earlier that the girl that he was inside of at the end of Curse had died. So if she died, did they put her in the Tiffany doll? Tiffany used the voodoo spell like Chucky can now magically, and she's got herself in the doll, and she's herself. But is she herself? Is she Jennifer Tilly's body? We don't know. We just know that it gets real confusing for a little bit. And that's how the movie ends. So that's for me was a little meh. In another movie where Chucky doesn't really die, which I'm fine with that part. It's just the other parts like just kind of don't make sense to me. But he's got a TV show, so we're hoping season 1 is going to explain all that for us. All right, the things that I'm out on. Tiffany. Let's see. Jennifer Tilly plays the character of Tiffany, and she has not played it well since Bride of Chucky. Seed of Chucky was very over the top because I think she was playing multiple roles at that point. Curse of Chucky, she just came in and was the delivery device for those dolls. And this one, she does the same thing, but then she has a conversation here and there. And in this movie, she kills a guard from behind with a nail filer across the throat. So, 3 straight movies. Nope, sorry. 3 out of the last 4 movies, she does the exact same kill, which in Bride of Chucky was awesome. In Seed of Chucky, she didn't do that kill, and I think she only had 1 kill in that movie, anyways. And then in Curse, she did the kill again, and he did the whole like he's gonna deliver it for money type thing. So, homage to your own movies. Okay, you loving yourself there, Don Mancini. But now in the third one, it's just lazy and boring. And the only other thing I'm out on in this movie is Nika walking. So Nika's paralyzed, but when they do the chant and she gets Chucky inside of her, that sounded bad. But Chucky's soul then is inside Nika. Nika can now magically walk. So I don't know how souls take away paralysis in humans. Because if that's the case, there's a lot of humans on this earth who'd be okay with swapping their souls to probably walk again. Just saying. But that part always bothered me because it just makes sense. I know it's an easy way to say, oh, look, now she's Chucky. And then if she's not Chucky, oh, she's Nika because she can't walk. But then it's just lazy to me because the way she talks and her mannerisms are a lot like her dad, which is perfect for her to play that role now. So that's the only part of it is the fact she can walk. But she does get a really cool kill, which I said I was going to talk about earlier. So the doctor, who's kind of a skeevy perv, she ends up stomping on his head multiple times, bashing it in beyond recognition. Real cool kill. All right, so my overall thoughts on this movie is I'm in the middle. There's a lot of people who love it. There's a lot of people who hate it. But I don't hate this movie. I don't absolutely love it. But I'm in the middle. I find this one to be a lot of fun. I like Chucky in this movie a lot. He is himself. He's not watered down. He has some great lines. And the multiple Chucky dolls. The first time I watched it, I thought was just bombastic and ridiculous. But watching it again now, I enjoyed it a little more, which may be because I've seen the season 1 Chucky, which I'll be reviewing next. So on the next one, we're going to be doing the first season of Chucky. This one, though, I forgot to give a rating, so we're going to do it right now. I give this one 3.75 out of 5. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, share this with all your friends, put some comments down in the comment section so we can discuss it. And until the next one, rest in peace.